And we're live. Hello, everyone. I'm Michel Basler, the CEO of Prevu3D, and my usual suspect in this presentation, Phil Bedard. Hey, Phil.
Hey, nice to meet you, everyone.
Excellent. So, welcome, everyone. Welcome to another installment of a webinar showing some of the latest stuff that we have, and some things we'll circle back as you know. One of the exciting things that we've been seeing is that we're moving at a really rapid pace. I mean, I love that recently one of our customers said that, we're moving faster than a Learjet, which is definitely faster than a speedboat, I would say. So this is even better. But yeah, I think there's a lot of good stuff happening in the company in both where we're seeing the business and, winning big accounts, but also the improvements to the product. And so we'll cover some of that during this session. Anyone that's online watching us live, hey, feel free to go into the comment section. Let us know who you are. If you have any things that you're looking for, questions you have. We like these things to be interactive. I talk to Phil all the time, so we're not doing this to talk to each other. It's more about getting people involved in the audience. So don't be shy to get us involved in the process. So, got a bunch of stuff to talk today. One is that obviously we, a lot of people use our product for doing design engineering, design layouts, or early phase design of engineering projects. And as always, customers like to push the boundaries, and we were seeing more and more of these extremely large, complex CAD environments being loaded into our solution, specifically around RealityPlan. That's basically our tool for doing these design layouts. And so we had been looking for a while now on how can we improve supporting larger CAD models, but make them performant. Right? Because it's one thing to load a lot of data and make it useless and impossible to visualize. But any of our customers would know is that we are always about the visual quality, the experience, the product being very fluid. And so how to make complex CAD data being fluid is sort of like an impossible challenge in some ways, because it's the complexity of it is not designed for fast performance, gaming like visual quality. But as always, our developers love those type of challenges, and it's been a while, and now we have into the release of RealityPlan this ability to have extremely large CAD, 3D, and even 2D floor plans being displayed with high performance quality.
Yeah, so as you guys know, every month now we are releasing new features. So it's part of the 25.3 release that was released last week, actually. So we improved quite a lot the performances. I will share my screen quickly over here and show a quick example. So it's a video that we recorded, but you can import, let's say, like over here, a Revit file that has like a lot of geometry, a lot of textures, things like that, and import it inside the scene quite efficiently. And even when you navigate around the model, it's super fluid compared to a lot of CAD software out there. And just to push the boundaries over here, we duplicated the asset 6 times or 8 times, just to showcase that performance are not impacted by the amount of geometry that we have. It would be the same. Like currently, it's the same asset that we duplicated, but even if they were different from each other, it would be the same performances. And now we just navigate around, and as you can see, it's super smooth. So yeah, the loading is dynamic in some ways, and yeah, it's way more efficient than it used to be. So we have a lot of customers that have much larger model than that, especially in some industry that has a lot of piping. We have seen some insane models. So yeah, that's a feature that will help.
So absolutely. Now we need customers with even larger models. And so I noticed that some engineering firms, without to name them, have been saying that they have these crazy insane size large scale data models that they'd like to use in our products. So now it's time for you guys to come back to the table and look at this. certainly, I think that the initial feedback we got from some customers is they're pretty impressed on how smooth this is making loading complex CAD environments into our system. And that's important as well for a lot of different use cases, like as well, like, over the past year, we've added a lot of tools like a visual compare to compare your CAD to your scan. So now on extremely large, scan to BIM update projects, now you can do all of this into Reality Plan and get the ease of use, accessibility, and the performance while dealing with massive scale CAD environments.
It's great to see in the chat that we have some people new that we have never seen before, like Isaac had just joined and say hello.
Oh, great. Hey, Isaac.
So it's great to see people joining. Obviously, currently we're reviewing the release 25.3. We try to touch point on some other aspect of the project. But if you need like a full demo of the different offering that we have, don't hesitate to reach out. We can walk you through the full project cycle. But
absolutely. And I see also like Brian here that is an Inventor product designer. So actually, it's a good webinar for you because we'll show our integration with Inventor.
Yeah, I think you will like the next video
absolutely.
that we're about to show.
Yeah, because the key here is that of course, Prevu3D has been supporting different file formats in and out of our product. So you can import IFC files and GT and GLB files and all a bunch of file formats. Hey, Mark. And the key is that even in today's world, like you're in one software and you want to export some data to bring into another software. Well, you need to be a pretty good data scientist almost to understand, okay, I'm exporting this, I need to bring this into Revit or Inventor or AutoCAD. And okay, so what are the best file formats I need to use to move data between two software, right? So if you do this like every day, then you kind of have your own recipe. But if you don't do that like all the time, then mastering that, it's that sort of like that chart of like data going from this product to this other product. How do I make this seamless and easy? And even more when you're trying to get a portion of your data. So if you have a 3D scan and you want to bring just a portion or some assets into Inventor, for example, well, how do you do that? Like typically it would be a very painful process. And so I think that the key that we've been looking into is not only to make data moving easily between products, but doing it in a way that it becomes a more obvious process. So if you're looking to move, let's say, a hydraulic pump between Prevu3D as a scan object, and you want to bring it to Inventor because you need to model it or model around it, instead of like moving file xyz.obj, then is to say, well, I'd like to have that hydraulic pump as a known asset to be moved into my other software. And so that's some of the things we'll show in this next second. But before we do that, I just hadn't seen a question from Brad. Hey, Brad, great to see you here. And the question from Brad regarding the data is, does anything need to be done for large models that were loaded prior to 25.3? That's a really good question.
So yeah, on that side, sadly, you will need to re-import those models because the import workflow has been completely revamped. So it's a bit different now, the process to optimize the files while they are being imported inside Prevu3D. So in that case, you will need to import again those files. But if you use like georeference model, we will preserve those information as well. So typically for the positioning, it can be straightforward. It will really depends on how your CAD model is set up.
Exactly. Okay, great. So back to these interrupts. So what we start to do over the past short while is really solving a few things at the same time. So how to bring or move around 3D scanning data between our solution and other software, but also making it where it becomes more seamless. And so data interrupt is certainly something that is important for the company because we're always about making things easier, simpler for users. And so what we've done, instead of just adding one more file format into our array of files supported, is really saying, okay, well, how do we leverage the existing file formats that we support, but really put all of this behind a native plugin or an API SDK that will be available eventually for our third-party developers, actually, to hide the process of moving data between Prevu3D and AutoCAD or Inventor or Revit or Omniverse and so on. And so that's part of the work we've been doing, what we call RealityConnect. It's really a way where within the 3D software, the CAD software, you're able to say, okay, I'm connecting to Prevu3D on a specific site or project, and now I'd like to move either raw data, like point clouds or meshes, but also move specific assets. Let's say I need a specific piping system to go into AutoCAD Plan 3D because that's what I need for my specific engineering project. So we've designed this to make it very simple and seamless. And I think I can talk about it a lot, but I think that a visual will certainly be our best way to show this to our audience. So Phil, I'm sure you have some videos around that.
Let me share my screen over here. There we go. Yeah. So yeah, what we see over here is inside Inventor, we are able to bring in the point clouds inside the parts. So you can basically design your new components based on the point cloud. You can leverage the clipping box as well from Inventor to increase the level of detail that you need from the point cloud. So basically, initially we bring a low resolution of your point cloud just as a quick overview of the site, and then you can cherry pick where you need more accuracy from your point cloud. So this way you can really model precisely where you need and without compromising the performances of Inventor. So yeah, that's one of the workflow. So it can help a lot for remodeling some assets if you need to design your parts. It's also possible to do the same within the assembly file as well. So you can bring your different assets inside the assembly model. So those are both possible solutions. And regarding the reality assets, basically inside Prevu3D, we don't show it over here in the video, but you can define assets inside Prevu3D with bounding boxes, and then you can load those assets inside Inventor easily. So that's what we see over here. If I go back for a few seconds, when we press load reality asset, we select the pump, select the level of quality, and then we load those assets in here.
Yeah, and so what you're seeing here is actually a part of a mesh that was created from the 3D scan point cloud, and now you're just bringing the asset you need in your CAD software. So you don't have to deal with the whole blob of the 3D scan you had originally, just getting the pieces that you want. And these can be any complex shape. It can be a whole piping system. It can be, of course, like a piece of machinery like you're seeing here. And that's really something that makes it a lot easier and a lot less painful than to have to deal with the whole point cloud, load into Inventor, try to do a clipping area, and then start working on a blob of data. Here, this is a more visual way of working and making it a lot more seamless. So there's a question here from Louis. We don't specifically do cleanup of the point cloud per se. The meshing engine that we have as part of Prevu is extremely powerful, and it is able to generate the best meshed environments out of the scan. Of course, if your scan is really, really bad, it's going to be a bit more noisy, but we're generating the best meshes out there. So you don't need to do any cleanup per se, just do your scan, register the data, bring in an E57 into our platform, and we'll mesh it fairly rapidly, like within a few hours for smaller size projects. And for like terabyte worth of data, it can be maybe a day to process, but that's still very fast compared to anything else in the market. And then you can segment those assets and then bring those assets inside of Inventor or AutoCAD and other things like that.
Yeah, on our side, we also have a bunch of algorithm inside the processing pipeline. So if there's noise in your point cloud, we will try to remove some of it. It won't be perfect, but it's a fully automated process. So yeah, that helps a lot to reduce the amount of noise that you may have in your scans.
Yeah. So the question from Jean-Bernard about if we're creating IPT parts. So I don't know if you have an answer for that, Phil.
So technically, you can bring those assets and make them parts. Obviously, it's like a like a parametric model. So it's just a mesh. It's a visual representation. So if you really need a parametric model, you can remodel on top of the mesh, see if you need to, but sometimes it's not required depending on what you are doing. So if you can reduce the amount of modeling that you need to do, that can be beneficial a lot as well.
So I think that a great part of that answer is that, so there's two ways of thinking about this, is how first to simplify, how to bring reality into your CAD environment. So if you just need to bring a specific asset because that's what you need to model as a CAD surface model version or a solid model version, then it simplifies dealing with 3D scanning data. But also if you're looking to eliminate some of your modeling, let's say you need to have some reference object around, let's say you're designing a new, piping extension for a piece of equipment. Well, you don't need to remodel the surrounding environment. You just need a reference to provide context to your designers. And so these are things that you can do that way that simplifies the process and makes this a lot easier than having to do everything from scratch, right?
Yep. There's another question as well from Brad regarding the first topic that we discussed about the performance improvement with the CAD models and floor plans. So those performance improvements are also available on the web version. So if you create a layout on your desktop app, import CAD models, and you publish that layout online, you will drastically some improvement. You will see those improvement on the web version for sure.
Absolutely. I don't know if there's any questions more about Inventor before we show. I think we have AutoCAD as well we want to show today, right?
Yep, totally.
Let's wait a second here. Any last questions on Inventor? Or we can come back later if you have other questions.
Yeah, I think there's a small delay as well with the stream, so sometimes we ask for questions and we just see them coming up 30 seconds later.
Absolutely. Okay, so unless there's other questions, do you have a video to show AutoCAD Plan 3D?
Yeah, I do have a video for Plan 3D as well. It's a bit shorter, but yeah, we can for sure demonstrate some of the use case there. So it's pretty similar to Inventor in a way, but obviously the things that we will achieve within Plan 3D will be different than Inventor. So if you're doing like piping and things like that inside a plant, you can leverage the same functionalities to bring and contextualize, basically bring your point cloud inside inside Plan 3D. You can also, it's a bit different than the other plugins. Inside Plan 3D, there's not really like a clipping box tool or like a user-friendly one. So what we decided to do is if you create clipping box within Prevu3D Reality Plan version, over here as we are doing, we can like define a clip. Let's say you need the piping part of your scan. You can define them inside Prevu3D with the clipping manager. And once it's done, I think we're doing another clip over here. You will be able to see those clips inside Plan 3D. So you can import the content of the clip. So it's a bit different than the other plugins. There was some limitation on that side, but I think that does like a great job because our clipping tools work perfectly fine. So it's a great way to segment the space and bring what you need.
Absolutely.
And like the others, you can select the level of detail that you need for the clipped area.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, we try to do as best as we can to make everything continuous against the different plugins, but sometimes there's some technical limitation, like Phil just explained for AutoCAD, but we're still finding ways to make it still highly usable. And I see here a question from Raphael about, can I compare two different data sets in order to deliver my clients differences? So right now we do have a visual compare tool to compare your CAD to your scan. So we are able to do that. So if you have a CAD environment and you want to visually compare your CAD to your scan and see what's different between the as-built environment and the CAD, we do that right now. Comparing two scan environment is something we're looking into later on this year. There's additional capabilities that's coming out in the whole array of digital twin and operational aspects of operating a digital twin that will be covered around that. So stay tuned in future webinars about some of these things, but definitely we are thinking about enabling also comparing two scans together as part of those type of visual comparison capabilities. I see here that Paul Bowers is congratulating me on becoming the CEO. Yeah, thank you. It's I was acting CEO for the past 6 months, and yeah, the board unanimously approved last week that I become the full-fledged CEO for the company. Really excited about what we've been doing. So thanks for those nice comments. Any questions for AutoCAD people? I think also we have some stuff with Omniverse, which has been another integration that we've got a lot of people asking for. And so,
yeah, a few. I know some of you might have attend the previous webinar as well that was dedicated for Omniverse. So if you need like more details following this presentation, you can always refer back to that full video where we had our partner Kinetic Vision on the call as well that showcased some of their the different features. But yeah, it's this time inside the Omniverse, you can also import some part of your model. So it will be the mesh this time as USD files that are imported inside the scene. So you can clip parts of the environment, bring those meshes inside Omniverse quite smoothly. So you don't need to bother about the orientations, the scaling, and all that stuff. It's all handled through the plugin. So it's much easier now to bring in data in here. And again, you can either bring the environment, some part of it with the clipping tool, or you can also bring only some assets. So you can define assets within Prevu3D. As we can see over here, we have like a red tank, a control panel, and a system on the right side panel. And we can like select them, select the quality level, and hit import. And basically it will import them inside the scene quite smoothly.
Yeah. So there's one question from Jean-Bernard about the AutoCAD plugin, but actually all the plugins we're doing in this RealityConnect series is, there's some other plugins that are doing actual streaming of the data, but the actual data is not within the CAD software. So you always need to be connected to that streaming platform in order to actually see the data. In our case, we're actually making a copy. And the reason for that is because there's different workflows where you need to move that data with your project to share with other people. And so forcing a connection all the time to our system is very constraining. Of course, you can reconnect to our system and then update the data that you have with a different resolution or a different clipping area. But the data that you were generating within a CAD software is actually like he had imported some 3D files into that software. So you can do whatever you want at that point, either using as part of the Revit families or as part of your Inventor or AutoCAD environment to model on top. There's no constraint. It's not just like a visual, gimmick that we're doing to show something. You can actually use it. You can measure against it with your usual existing measuring tools and your CAD software and so on. It's very flexible that way. And then we have a question from Louis. Can you integrate or create attributes on each object in your application? Actually, yes, we are adding a lot of these abilities for having metadata inside of Prevu3D. There's a lot of stuff coming around that. Obviously, we are looking to create a notion of intelligent assets where if you have metadata that you create in Prevu3D or connecting metadata coming from your ERP or PLM or MES system or your CAD system, we are looking to create these different integration points where the assets managed within Prevu3D becomes connected and with all the relevant metadata. So you can think of like, let's say I'm looking for all the pumps that are have certain attributes, including, let's say, the manufacturer's name or their last date of inspection and stuff like that. So we're going to be adding a lot of capabilities around supporting metadata onto assets. And actually, probably the next webinar will show more about the asset templates and all the connected assets into the next one for sure.
And maybe I can even show live like how we can create assets today in
the
next webinar.
Yes, please do.
Also, so if we share my screen over here, I can do it live, so it's not a video this time. But you can navigate around the scenes, and we do have the asset creation tool where you can define assets either with boxes, so you can create like multiple boxes to define your assets. With the small turntable over here, you can like easily rotate around and start isolating what you need So I can do something quickly like this, and you can have multiple bugs. So even if you have like complex geometry, like it does not really matter. You can like scale it the way you want. So it's pretty flexible, and you can have as much boxes as you want. And once you generate that asset, you can give it a name. Let's say pump 1, pump 2, and then you can add properties to that assets. And that's where we're coming up with asset types that Michel discussed a little bit. But you can basically attach any data material, let's say, and then you can type in something, press OK, and then it becomes an asset that is selectable from the 3D scene. So yeah, that's basically the assets that we have seen inside the plugins as well. So if you define the pump like this inside Inventor, Omniverse, or Prevu3D, you can say, hey, grab that pump too, bring it inside the Inventor.
Yeah. So a couple of questions from Jesse. Hey, Jesse. So one, the data we bring into AutoCAD becomes basically 3D objects within AutoCAD, right? So if any of the measuring tools you have will work. Obviously, it's a bit more challenging, just the raw point cloud, because it's just points in space. And that's why we recommend bringing in the mesh environment, which gives you the same quality and precision that you have for the point cloud, but it's more of a recognizable object from an AutoCAD perspective. And so if you import, let's say, a pipe object, that you've meshed into Preview, bring it as an asset into AutoCAD, then you can measure on it inside of AutoCAD, just like you had imported a 3D object from any other software. Other questions? So Aishem here, are you planning in the future to add automatic deviation detection between? Certainly something we're looking into. Nothing we can announce just yet, but certainly we always like customer feedback like that to improve our tools. And there's more coming around that, but certainly we are more than happy to talk to you offline and set up some meetings with one of our account executives to really understand what you're looking to do, and then we might have solutions that might fit your needs immediately. So definitely always something that we like to do.
Yeah, and we do have also the visual compare tool. So maybe we can even paste it in the chat. I can share the link after the call as well. We can already compare the CAD models against the scan environment. So you can see like with the gradient, the deviations, and things like that. So it's not building a report per se, but you can easily navigate around and spot the deviations.
Yep. The next feature I want to talk about is like now we have a lot of plugins that we're building, and there's more coming. And so then it was becoming a challenge with our customers, like, where do I get those plugins? How do I download them on my desktop and everything else? So again, to make it easier for our customers, we now added basically a download page where you can see all the plugins and modules you can download from our portfolio. So here, and it's a very nice page, almost like a marketplace of all the integrations we're building. And now you can see all 4 integrations that are publicly available. Like I said, there's more coming. But so yeah, if you want to download the Revit plugin, Inventor, Prevu3D, and Omniverse, they're all here. And of course, we have documentation for all of that. So if you have any questions, you can definitely consult the online documentation or talk to our customer success team. We're always very happy to talk to customers and see how we can improve. Actually, these plugins started when we were talking to one of our customers that were showing us how she was using point cloud in Revit, and we were so depressed for her because it was so painful that we decided to build a plugin. And so shout out to Janet at Progressive Design that got us started on building these plugins. Some more questions here. Louis, did you observe any issue with the volume of data? Not really, because we have built a system that's designed to handle a large amount of data, right? So we built a whole dynamic system that if you have 3 terabytes of data, it will work just as fine if you have 100 gig of data. It's fairly optimized for performance. So it's definitely something that you don't start suffering. I know there's other competing solution. The more data you load, the more painful it gets. In our case, we've optimized a lot of things, including now the CAD data that we showed earlier into this webinar. That is key aspects of how our product is extremely visual and interactive, because we we spend a lot of time optimizing everything to make sure you have a great user experience. It's very important for us. And I think the last thing that we want to talk about is, well, obviously we're getting more customers worldwide, and one thing that we try to be always forward thinking about is having remote hosting or local hosting, let's call it like that. So obviously until now we had our data centers in West Virginia in the US, we had Frankfurt in Germany for the European customers, and now we have data residency in Japan, so in Tokyo. So for our Japanese customers, konnichiwa. We are very happy to say that now we have hosting into the Japanese market as well. So that was, I think, the last thing we want to talk about, which also includes the knowledge base that's available in Japanese. So we take a lot of work now. We have also German documentation. So again, trying to work on pushing all these localization and data access to as much as we can. I think that was all we had planned for today. Yeah, if you want to sign up to our newsletter to find out all about the latest stuff, our latest case studies, please sign up to our fly-through page. I'm sure that our marketing team will put that link into the webinar. We have a YouTube that's coming that we're building as well. Trade shows. Well, trade shows next week is going to be a busy week. Myself and with some of our colleagues will be at Hannover Messe. So I'll be all week next week at Hannover Messe. It's a large manufacturing show. So if you're at that show, come and see us. We are in Hall 17, booth 44, if I'm not mistaken. And also we'll be at BIM World in Paris. So a few of our colleagues will be lucky enough to go to Paris. They have to fight for that one. And so if you want to come and see us in both events, definitely. And actually myself and Phil will be the following week, we'll be at Vivo World. So if you're going to Vivo World as well, we don't have a booth, but we'll be there in person. So if you want to meet with us at Vivo World, we'll be there as well. So a lot of activities, a lot of travel and events and everything else. If not else, I think we're at the end of this. Yeah.
Yeah, and as always, we are doing release mostly every month, so most likely there will be another one a month from now.
Next month, yeah.
So see you.
Cool stuff, everyone. Yeah, and thank you so much. Contact us, our sales team, our customer success team. You can even email me directly or connect me through LinkedIn. And more than happy to hear more about how we can help your companies do more with reality capture. Thank you, everyone. Have a great end of the day.
Thank you. Have a good day.